Probably the biggest thing that stuck out to me watching this fight, besides the absurd amount of blood, was that Sebastian Fundora showcased a rather lazy, pity-pat jab, which got him into trouble in the first 2 rounds of the fight, but also in a weird way ended up being his key to victory for the rest of the fight. Now let me explain. You see, the distance between 2 fighters is determined more than anything by the distance between the 2 fighters' lead foot. Now what does that have to do with a lazy jab, you might ask? The thing is, when there is minimal distance between the lead foot of each guy, like you see here, then they are considered in punching range, because a sharp, quick step in the step jab, if thrown properly, will cover the small distance needed to make contact with the opponent. And the thing is, even with Tszyu coming in this close to him, Fundora would jab with a weak step, or even no step, which slowed his jab to the point where Tszyu easily could see it coming and pull from it. So we see Fundora is going to come in with a jab. As you see, when he flashes the jab, he steps in with a really weak step, barely even steps in at all, and this causes his jab to be very slow and not sharp like it would be if he stepped in sharp. As you can see, Tszyu able to see that coming, and as you see, he pulls away from it easily with a very light parry to dissuade this jab. He barely even needs the parry to knock this jab out of line. In all of these examples, Fundora barely steps in with his jab, making it slow and weak, allowing Tszyu to easily pull away from them despite being in punching range. A deeper, harder, sharper step in with these jabs would reach Tszyu even with the pull away. To illustrate this point, here we see Fundora reach out with a lazy jab which comes much short of Tszyu. Now you might be thinking that he's not in range, however you see Tszyu, he steps in and nails Fundora with this straight right to the body, which he clearly only had to step in normally to do so. But before we continue, let's take a quick second to talk about the sponsor of this video, Pro Boxing, a new all-in-one boxing training app that will help you develop into a complete fighter. With Pro Boxing, you can train smarter by building custom workouts, drill boxing's highest value patterns and combinations, and of course get into fighting shape. Its 24 universally designed training modules makes it an effective tool whether you're a beginner, an experienced boxer, or a coach. Download Pro Boxing today, and as an added bonus, get 50% discount using my exclusive link in the description. Thank you once again, Pro Boxing, for sponsoring this video. Here we see Tszyu step in with a body jab, which reaches Fundora, so clearly he's in punching range. However, when Fundora tries to jab back at Tszyu, you see he barely steps in with his jab, and Tszyu is easily able to pull away from it. The same thing in this example, you notice Fundora reaches out with a jab, and he doesn't even step with this jab, so it comes up short. However, Tszyu simply steps in with his punch and just nails Fundora, reaches him because he stepped in with it. Now for those of you who watch a lot of my videos, you might be thinking right now that not every jab needs to be a hard committed jab like I'm explaining. It's also very useful to use throwaway jabs, probes, hand fighting jabs, taps to the opponent's gloves, and many other low committed jabs to do things like control your opponent, bait punches to counter, or to use as a setup punch to a power punch. However, when he used these lazy jabs to set up a power punch, he still followed up with another lazy jab that didn't capitalize on the opening. So here we see Fundora throw a tap jab to Tszyu's gloves. So this actually opens up an opening around the gloves of Tszyu for a real jab or a lead hook. However, instead of that, Fundora just throws another lazy jab which falls short, and he misses the opportunity to capitalize on that opening that he just created. And here we see the same thing. Fundora throws one lazy jab to the guard of Tszyu, but this pushes Tszyu back on his rear leg, where he will be susceptible to another straight punch, since he has no more space to pull back his head. So what does Fundora do? He shoots another lazy jab with barely any step in again, so he could come up short again and miss another opportunity. Again, throwaway jabs can be very useful, but that's mostly if you don't intend on landing them. Since Fundora has only thrown these lazy jabs so far, he must be trying to land them. And of course, the most obvious reason throwing lazy jabs when intending to land is bad is because it leaves you open for counters. However, all of this was in the first 2 rounds, and we saw at the end of round 2, Tszyu ran into Fundora's elbow, causing that nasty cut. Ironically, after he had that cut, Fundora's jab started to land consistently. However, this was the same lazy jab Fundora had been throwing the whole fight. As you can see, he is still barely stepping in as he jabs. And so this basically continued for the rest of the fight. Fundora consistently landed the same lazy jab that he couldn't land in the first 2 rounds, and if these two happen to have a rematch, I would try to fix that lazy jab if I'm in Fundora's corner. Otherwise, we could see what happened in the first 2 rounds for the entire fight. And that's going to do it for this one. As always, thank you everybody for watching, and special thanks to my GOAT tier patrons, Jason Maheenan, Grant Gabriel, Albert Chen, Gosala Geza, Marshall Bott, Jesus Galindo, Tall Lane, Jal Stroll, Micaiah O'Sullivan, Nyan Valdez, as well as my channel members Lucas Miller and Hot Pocket Maestro. You guys keep the channel going, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Thank you all for watching.